The terrorist attacks on the offices of French magazine Charlie Hebdo in Paris earlier today hit close to home, and not because Speaking of Timmins is a media outlet and I feel as one with the world's media. No, I happen to know a handful of people that actually live in Paris, and even though Paris is a big city, you always worry about your friends when you hear a story like this happening. Thankfully, everyone I know in Paris is safe and sound, although understandably a bit frazzled. That being said, the events of today do bring perspective onto how lucky we are to have freedom of speech in our country. How lucky am I to live in a country where I can produce a video blog where I say that our chief of police made a stupid decision and not get arrested and tortured for having said those words? How lucky am I to live in a city where I can run a small blog site and have the mayor and chief administrative officer make themselves available to answer questions submitted by our viewers, yes, even questions they might prefer not having to answer? How lucky am I to live in a country where I can start a small blog site and know that it's growing in popularity when I start getting angry emails and comments from people who did not care what I had to say in my videos when only a handful of people were watching, but are now paying attention and are getting angry with some of the things I say because Speaking of Timmins is becoming more and more popular within our community. Today's events happen in part because the media in France have freedoms similar to the ones we have in Canada, and a small group of people decided to try and mute these journalists and cartoonists who were simply exercising their rights of commentary. Ultimately, I hope that today's events in Paris will not have an impact on how the media present the news in Canada, in Europe, and even in those parts of the world where journalists are clearly targets on a daily basis. As for Speaking of Timmins, we'll keep asking the questions our viewers want answers to. I'm Frank Rock, and that's my 2 cents.